Impostorism. So here's a question. Have you ever felt like an imposter? And what did you do to make the feeling go away? Can you start us off with this discussion, Edwin?
Yeah, sure. So imposterism, feeling like you don't deserve to be here, feeling like you don't belong. Sometimes in certain situations, we find ourselves in places like that, right? And so then you got to kind of come to yourself and say, hey, I deserve to be here, right? So when you feel like you don't deserve to be here, you say to yourself, hey, I'm a human being. I was invited. I have a reason to be here. And so I belong, right? And so have you ever felt like an imposter? Yeah, I mean, I 100%. I've had instances where I sort of felt that way, and then I kind of asked myself, okay, why do I feel this way, right? What like why? And it's sort of like a personal examination in yourself. Like what why do I have these thoughts, or why do I have these feelings about this particular situation? And then once you sort of identify why you have those thoughts, then you can figure out, okay, what do I need to do to rectify it so that I no longer feel like an imposter when I find myself in this type of environment or this type of situation. So yeah, I mean, we all have a right to be in certain audiences in certain places. We shouldn't necessarily limit ourselves. And then oftentimes, if you are in a place where, like, so say for instance, you're not an executive, but you find yourself in a situation with executives, being present in that environment, while you might not necessarily be a VP or you might not necessarily be an executive, it gives you a chance to sort of listen to the things that they talk about. It gives you a chance to look at their presence. It gives you an opportunity to learn from their conversations. And so it gives you an opportunity to sort of see life beyond your current position, so that you can figure out and have mentorship, or at least identify, okay, if this is what I want to be, or if this is where I want to go, it gives you an opportunity to sort of emulate that and walk and start the process of walking down that road. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, Simon.
Yeah, I don't feel being an imposter too often. So I'm just trying to recall one of those times where when I first started to teach an evening course on programming, and teaching is also one of the ways that I got over my public speaking fear. And so when I was invited to co-teach with my then CEO of the company I work for, I say yes. But then when I was actually teaching at that time, I was thinking like, what, I'm a teacher now, I'm an instructor now. I wasn't trained to be one, and then definitely I'm not even sure I was good enough to actually deliver all that stuff. I mean, I do develop the software development for many years already at that time, but still teaching it is a whole different thing, and I wasn't trained to do that. And so I did feel a little bit recalling it right now is like, yeah, it's like, am I supposed to be here? Why am I here? What did I get myself into? That kind of feeling. And I think it kind of went away after obviously a few sessions, but also getting feedback from the students, right? To know that they're actually learning and they are actually getting it. So kind of helped me as well to feel that, okay, I think I'm doing something right, instead of just like, unsure and just doing something that's totally out of, out of the, out of whack, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of helped over time. I taught probably two more courses, and that kind of feeling just kind of went away.
For me, absolutely. I I think that I do suffer imposter syndrome often. And there's that question for me. It becomes like, what value do I have to enter this space if I'm facilitating or teaching? And you think for me, it could be a sense of humility that, I certainly don't have all the answers, but it is also leaning back into my own truth and knowing that I do have a sense, I do have a knowing, and I do have this wealth of experience, and uh, have been, in learning institutions and have accumulated and listened to feedback and experiences in a way that I'm able to synthesize what it is that I have experienced and learned to be able to project that back outward. But there's certainly a sense of there in the back of my mind, or even a feeling in my body and my nervous system, like, oh, maybe I really don't have much to offer here. And I think what is so great about Amy Cuddy's book is she brings it into focus, the idea that the imposter syndrome is actually being self-absorbed, right? It's a sense of constantly being ego and questioning, oh, what value do I have, or how is that received, or what did people think of me? And when you're in that rabbit hole of ruminating and sometimes obsessing about how your performance or your words are going to be received, you actually aren't present in the moment, right? You're either in some fear response, or in a lack of confidence, or thinking about the past and how you delivered a past performance, that you can't be present. So absolutely have experienced imposter syndrome. I think that it, for me, keeps it real. And it does enter into my own way of being, a degree of humility that I then have to practice in my own mindfulness practice and embodied practice, show up for myself, right? Show up for myself, which then allows me to show up in spaces with an attitude of equanimity. For me, it would be shifting into a learning opportunity too, even if I'm teaching and facilitating a space. I am open to the wisdom of others in the room, and quite often I learn from those sessions. So if I open myself up and bring myself into the space with non-judgment, with compassion for the experience itself, I tend to become more open, less in my nervous system, and less connected to outcomes. So this doesn't have to be the best performance or the best decision. It doesn't have to reach people in a certain way. I might wish it to, but I'm not focused on that. If I'm just focused on being present, being in the moment, engaging from what I know, and having confidence that whatever I have to offer is enough, then I think that really changes the dynamics of the situation, and starts to dismantle imposterism for me.
And the other thing is you have the passion in doing whatever you're doing, right? And just give yourself the opportunity to continuously learning and adjusting, right? Which again takes us back to the our previous book, Take the Stairs, so that you just have to take the action, right? You might make some mistakes, but that's okay, right? You kind of iterate through it, make adjustments, make improvements, and then you just keep on going. And I think over time, you won't feel as if you are an imposter in doing whatever you're doing.
That's a great point of bringing Roy Vaden's. I know we've done this in a previous discussion, in the same discussion of presence, which probably speaks to how impactful Roy Vaden's Take the Stairs was on us. Because when you spoke, Simon, I was recalling how Roy Vaden would frame imposter syndrome, and he talked about fear, perfectionism, right, and how those come into play. So an interesting segue into our conversation now.